Hey guys, it's Griffinoni here, and welcome back to Pokémon HeartGold. Last time, we met with a very mysterious man named Primo, who gave us many eggs after we got another mysterious egg from a kimono girl. We also went down south of Violet City. We explored Route 32, fought a whole bunch of trainers, talked about some new Pokemon that we can find, and caught one of them successfully. And we find ourselves at a Pokemon Center. This time, we're going to continue on our travels, but before we do, I want to go right up here and talk to you. Freda! Yahoo! It's Friday! I'm Freda the Friday. Nice to meet you. Here's a poison barb for you. We got the poison barb. Give it to a Pokemon that has poison type moves. Oh, it's wicked. You'll be shocked by how good it makes poison type moves. Yes, this will be very useful once Ceres gets a poison type move for herself. Now, that individual right there is one of the 7, Day of the Week siblings. These people can be found all over the region, but only on specific days. There was actually one that we were able to find, well actually there were two that we were able to find earlier. There was one on Route 29 that we'd be able to find on Thursdays, and another one that we could have found in Violet City on a Tuesday. However, I did not think to play this game on a Tuesday as I was busy working on other things. But I promise at various points throughout the game, I will find an opportunity to get all of the items that they can provide, because they do get us some nice stuff. But I wanted to be absolutely certain I got the poison barb, because it was just that important. Now, let's head on into the Pokemon Center. And we have a lot of people to talk to. Let's start with you. Bonjour, how are you? Are you picking apricorns? Yes, I am, as a matter of fact. Way to go, little apricorn collector. I feel so great. I want to give you this. We got Lure Balls. Lure Ball. This Pokeball makes it easy to catch the Pokemon that appear when you go fishing. Actually, this is made from apricorns. Consider those two as small gifts from me. If you want more, go to Azalea Town. A man called Kurt can make special Pokeballs out of apricorns. Apricorns rule. We'll talk about the lure balls in a little bit more detail at a specific time, but this is actually a somewhat of a reference, I believe. So this is a reference to the fact that in the anime, both Ash and Misty each got a lure ball in the show, and they ended up using it on specific Pokemon. Again, I'll go into specifics later on, but I just wanted to make note of the fact that you can get some lure balls here. Now, how would we go about fishing? What do you have to say, fisherman? This area is great for fishing. Looking at all those people fishing, did you feel you wanted to try fishing too? Would you like one of my rods? I really hope you mean fishing rods. We got the old rod. When you want to go fishing, face the water and use the rod first. Then concentrate and look closely at the water. An exclamation appears when a Pokemon has taken a bite. Press the A button quickly to pull back on the line. You'll see what happens next. If there is water, be it by sea or by stream, try out your rod. Please, do not phrase it like that ever again. I don't want to do anything with my rod by the sea, and frankly, what I do with my rod anywhere is none of your business, sir. Anyway, what do you have to say? What should I make my Pokemon hold? Maybe an item that increases its attack power. Great, the good thing. Let's focus on the Pokemon. Let's heal up our Pokemon, because pretty much everyone except Sarah's got hurt in the last episode. Now that we got the fishing rod, or rather the old rod, I do want to at least show it off, because there is actually a surprise event that we can do here. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my key items in my bag, and I'm going to register the old rod for now. You can, of course, use it manually by going with the use button, but if you select it and then hit Y, you immediately use the old rod. We got a Pokemon! All right, we found a Magikarp, and with this, when it comes to the old rod, I know what you're thinking. It only reels in Magikarp. It's a terrible Pokemon. I gotta wait until I get a good rod to get anything else. Well, that's not entirely true. Yes, it is true that no matter where you try to use it, Magikarp will appear at least 95% of the time, as you can see here. However, it is not the only Pokemon you can get. Depending on where you fish, you are capable of getting other Pokemon this early in the game. And while later rods and other improvements will let us get the same Pokemon later and easier, I still think it's fair to cover them now if you really want them. But before that, yeah, let's talk about the poster child of mediocrity that is Magikarp. You've probably heard it a million times. Magikarp is one of the weakest Pokemon in the game. It starts off learning only Splash, a move which does literally nothing whatsoever. The only other moves it gets are Tackle and Flail, which are also terrible. However, it is always worth the hassle to get its level 20, because Gyarados is just so good. The Pokédex even officially refers to Gyarados as the deity of destruction because of how good it is. And it was made even better thanks to the physical special split. It learns incredibly powerful normal, water, and even dragon type moves through level up, has a ton of potential coverage through TMs and move tutors, and comes with one of the best abilities in the game, Intimidate. The only things I would be mindful of with Gyarados is the fact that it's still quad weak to electric type attacks, and that aside from learning Bounce via move tutor, Gyarados doesn't learn any flying type attacks. So this thing will mostly serve you best as a water type. If you want to raise this thing, great. It will pay off quickly. But if you don't want to go through the hassle of raising a Magikarp, we will still be able to find a Gyarados in the wild later on, including one particular specimen that shines above the others. We'll talk about it later. Anyway, we got ourselves a Magikarp. And like that, Magikarp's data has been added to the Pokédex. Magikarp, the fish Pokemon. An underpowered, pathetic Pokemon. See, even the Pokédex thinks this is a joke. It may jump high on rare occasions, but usually not more than 7 feet. If you want to give this piece of garbage a nickname, feel free to do so. I do not care what you call this. Just no profanities. Preferably. Preferably no profanities. Oh, crud. I didn't mean to do this right now. I actually meant to go back and talk about something else. I guess we're going to be fighting this guy. So, I guess since we are fighting this trainer, let's take a second to talk about one of the other Pokemon that we can get. On Route 32, if we were to use the old rod right now, we actually could find a Tentacool. Tentacool, much like Zubat, is one of those super common Pokemon that people underestimate because it comes up so often. But don't let it deceive you. Tentacool and its evolved form, Tentacruel, are excellent water types. First of all, its typing of water poison gives it a lot of resistances and helps cover some of the individual weaknesses of its type. It is great special defense, even as just a Tentacool, and it also has respectable HP, special attack, and speed as a Tentacruel. It does lack a little in attack and defense, but its potential moves are just so good that it makes up for it with sheer power alone. Plus, it can learn the move Barrier to help boost its low physical defense. The only problem is that its moves early on are not that great, and it will struggle until it gets its better moves, much like Zubat. But as mentioned before, Tentacool is very common to find on bodies of water later on. So if you don't want to get it right now, that's totally fine. You can always get one later. Just try to get one with clear body for its ability, as its other ability, Liquid Ooze, is situationally useful at best. Alright, it looks like Sarah's grew to level 10. Beautiful. Looks like we have one more Pokemon that we need to deal with, and then we will properly move on. And I promise I will not stall any further. Okay, there we go. I know what my weaknesses are. Yeah, it's called electricity. It's called the power of Raido Kuzunoha, mother hecker. I should train again at the gym in Violet City. Yes, you absolutely should. Now down here, there is an item that we could actually get if I had Rock Smash. Let me fix that real quick. So I went ahead and picked up our Geodude that is in the PC, and I actually want to go to our bag here. And for us to teach him Rock Smash, we just need to head down here. Now, do note again that Rock Smash is considered an HM. Anything that is top of the HM It's difficult to remove, but the nice thing about HMs is that they can be taught an unlimited number of times, unlike TMs. So I'm going to give Geodude Rock Smash, and we're going to head back down here, and I'm actually going to bring Geodude out for this, to see if it makes any meaningful difference here. Alright, Geodude, it's your time to shine. Geodude is coming along happily. Let's do this. Rock appears to be breakable. Would you like to use Rock Smash? Let's do this. Yeah, that's the nice thing about having the front Pokemon do it. If you have it done that way, then you do miss out on one particular flashy animation, but you actually get to see them up and break it, which I think is really cool. Anyway, for our efforts, we get the Shell Bell, a really, really nice item. Let's take a look at this bad boy. The Shell Bell, an item to be held by a Pokemon. The holder's HP is restored a little every time it inflicts damage. This is actually a relative proportion of how much damage you deal. So, given that Rhino and Blazer are going to be doing a lot of switch training with Saris, I think it's best that one of them hold on to it for now. I think all things considered, I'm going to have a Rhino in the fray for now. So, with that in mind, I think it's time that we head on into our next destination. Let's see what we have here. Union Cave is ahead. And let's head inside and see what we got. Welcome to Union Cave. You can see the little head of an Onyx in the cave art. Immediately we run into a wild Pokemon. Of course we do. And of course, to the surprise of no one, it's Zubat. Now then, there is a little bit for us to do here in Union Cave. There are a handful of trainers for us to fight and a couple floors for us to explore as well. We're not going to be able to do everything in Union Cave. This is one of those caves that we are going to have to revisit later on. And trust me, when we come back here later, it's going to be awesome. But while we are doing some work down here, I am going to talk about some more Pokemon that we can find. Some of which are through the Old Rod, and some are, well, one of them is actually obtainable in Union Cave specifically. So, let's cue the music and talk about some more Pokemon, shall we? Because that's what we're here to do. Anyway, if we were to check back all the way to Cherry Grove City and use the Old Rod there, we could find Krabby 5% of the time. Now, Krabby is yet another case of a Pokemon made substantially better thanks to the physical special split. I mean, just look at that attack stat. And that's before it evolves to Kingler at level 28. It gets multiple hard-hitting physical attacks as early as level 21, and learns the signature move Crab Hammer at level 41, a base 90 power physical water-type attack that has a high critical hit chance. It's also one of very few Pokemon to learn the move Guillotine, a move with low accuracy, but is a one-hit KO attack. And thanks to its Hypercutter ability, its attack stat will never go down. The only problem is that Krabby and Kingler's special stats are terrible. They will struggle with special water-type attacks they learn through level up, and will crumple like wet paper when fighting any electric or grass-type Pokemon. If you're willing and able to invest in specific TMs for it, you can definitely make it work. But much like Tentacool, you may want to wait until later to get it. If you do decide to get it right now, or frankly anytime you decide to get it, I recommend getting 2 if you're willing to put in the effort, because you'll need to trade one away later on. Now, if we were to use the Old Rod in Route 30, we could encounter Poliwag 5% of the time. Now, unlike the previous 2 Pokemon we discussed, there's no real advantage to waiting until later with Poliwag aside from relative convenience. It starts out with mediocre stats aside from an impressive base 90 speed, but gets better once it evolves into Poliwhirl at level 25, where its offensive stats balance out a bit better and it learns better moves. What's really interesting is where Poliwhirl could go from here. This is our first case of a proper branching evolution. You can either evolve it into Poliwrath with the help of a Water Stone, or you can trade it away while it's holding a King's Rock and evolve it into Politoed. If you evolve it into Poliwrath, it will get slightly slower, but will have improved offensive and defensive stats while also sporting a fighting subtype to go with it. It's better at using physical attacks, but you can honestly make it work with anything. If you evolve it into Politoed, it will remain a pure water type. Its offensive and defensive stats focus more on the special side, and it will learn several sound-based moves, including Perish Song and Hyper Voice. Both of them have their own strengths, but I wouldn't say either of them are a bad choice. It all just comes down to personal preference for what you need. Though it's worth pointing out that Poliwrath has twice as many weaknesses as Politoed. All you really need to bear in mind with both of them is that neither of them will be available for a while, as the items you need to get them are not obtainable right now, and most of the moves that Poliwhirl learned through level up are not available once it evolves either way. So think carefully about what you wanted to learn for your team before you evolve it. And finally, as far as Pokemon that we can find with the Old Rod, if we return to the Dark Cave with the Old Rod, we can find Goldeen 5% of the time. Now, Goldeen is as strange as it is generic. It doesn't have the absolute best stats in the world, with especially mediocre HP and defenses, but it does get a little more bulk once it evolves into Seaking at level 33. It doesn't learn much in the way of Water-type moves, but in fairness, it does skip out on Water Gun and go straight for Water Pulse at level 17. Plus, it's the only Pokemon that learns to move Waterfall through level up, a base 80 physical Water-type move with a 20% chance to make the target flinch. But it just lacks much to help it stand out among the many amazing Water-type peers. If you decide to catch it now, it may struggle as a Water-type for a little bit, but it can be helpful for a little while. I would definitely recommend its Swift Swim ability over Water Veil, however, as the latter is situationally useful at best. Oh! I was not expecting this. Looks like something's happening. What? Blazer's evolving! Behold, Blazer has evolved into Quilava. That was a neat little surprise. I was not expecting Blazer to level up or evolve that quickly. Now, as for Union Cave itself, there is one new Pokemon that we can find here. Semi-exclusive to Pokémon HeartGold is Sandshrew. To start off, this is the counterpart to Ekans, which was semi-exclusive to Soul Silver. As such, there is nothing new here for Soul Silver players. Going into Sandshrew as a Pokemon, this is our first instance of a pure ground type. Pure ground types have some advantages over rock ground types like Geodude and Onix. They're not weak to ground, fighting, or steel type attacks, and while they are still weak to water, grass, and ice attacks, they're not quad weak to any of them. Sandshrew and its evolved form, Sandslash, are meant to be physically bulky attackers, having great physical attack and defense while having to be mindful of weaker special defense and speed. The only problem is that Sandshrew and Sandslash barely function as ground types, as they only get one ground type attack via level up, which is Sand Tomb at level 33, a base 15 power ground type attack that prevents the opponent from escaping and inflicts chip damage every turn. While this move does have some more utility in this game than others, it doesn't change that Sandslash is only useful as a ground type if you teach it Earthquake via TM. Don't get me wrong, it will do great if you do that, but there are better ground types that naturally learn Earthquake via level up. So why would you want to invest in Sandslash? The world may never know. Okay, now that takes care of everything I can do on the first floor. I've fought multiple trainers, got a lot of level ups, and obviously the biggest factor of the day is that Blazer evolved. Now the exit is right over there, but there is still more we can do on the basement of Union Cave. So give me a minute while I head back over to that area, and how I've gone this long without running into a wild Pokemon is utterly absurd. I jinxed it. The music didn't even have time to resume. The music did not even have time to resume. That's how quick it was. Okay, back up here, there was this little entrance that brings us downstairs. I do want to take a look at it. So this is a whole other segment of Union Cave. As you can see, the Pokemon here are slightly tougher, but not really to an extensive degree. And over here, we found TM39 Rock Tomb. This is going to be a very useful move once I get a certain Pokemon on the team. Rock Tomb is a pretty basic rock type attack. It is base 50 power, and it's a physical rock type move that also has the chance of lowering the opponent's speed when used. It'd be very nice. Now, is there anything else? Yes. We also found an X-Defend. Now, as you can see here, there is a body of water. Much like the Dark Cave, we're not going to have the ability to do much in this segment of Union Cave until we have the ability to cross the water in some way, shape, or form. So for now, we're going to have to leave it be. And let's go ahead and get out of the Union Cave. And by get out, I mean me cut ahead to when I actually am able to do that, because this is going to take a while and I refuse to use repels right now. Okay, finally made it back to the other side. Don't ask me how many encounters that was. And definitely, Editor Griffin, do not put up on second for a very brief amount of time exactly how many encounters it took for me to get from one end of the cave to the other. The viewers do not need to know that. Anyway, now that we are at the end, let's head on out. And looks like it's raining. How exactly it's going about, I'm not sure. What I do know is that there are some more apricorns. Got a black apricorn. And another apricorn. Pink apricorn. Very nice. Do you have anything to say? Finally got through that cave. It was much bigger than I expected. I got too tired to explore the whole thing, so I came outside. Okay. Anyway, me and my horrible mind. There is one more trainer that we need to fight here before we can end things off. So, take it away. I came through the cave, but I still have plenty of energy left. The jokes. The horrible jokes that could be made. Anyway, Hiker Anthony. So I've been dealing with a lot of hikers inside the cave, and I gotta say, it has been a rough going, because a lot of these hikers are they have a tendency, that is how we English do, they have a tendency to use rock types. And while the special attack of Blazer is definitely helpful, just in terms of dealing with their low special defense, what really does not help is not only do we not have a really good way to actually deal with rock types, or at least amongst the Pokemon that are on my team, but far, 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 far more importantly, it is raining right now, which means not only are attacks not going to be very effective, but they're actually going to be less effective than usual because rain halves damage from fire attacks. We use any other sort of Pokemon, this would be a cakewalk, but right now, it's a rough going, and really, truly, as much as I don't want to use Blazer, Blazer really is our best shot, because it's either we use Ember in the rain, or we use Rido's Tackle, or God forbid we use Saris's Astonish, which, let's be honest, that's not going to be helpful. Oh good, Saris grew level 12. Inching ever closer to where we need to be. We are almost there. Oh, never mind. He actually does have another Pokemon for us to fight that is not a rock type. Good. That may mean I get something else out of this after all. Now, unfortunately, Saris, despite being a higher level and despite the fact that you are a flying type, you're still not helpful right away. I promise you, once Saris gets going, Saris will not be able to stop. Saris will mow down everything in her path. But we gotta get to level 17 first. Anyway, Thunder Shock. I truly hope Rido can get us through this. Knowing Rido? Probably. Okay. There we go. Now, is that enough? Nope, not quite. Still gonna have to wait a little bit for the next level. By the way, I'm a hiker, so I often go to mountains and caves. I don't usually go to the town. I bet you go to all kinds of towns on your journey, don't you? You know, if we were to trade phone numbers, then we could exchange all kinds of information, yes? Absolutely, my guy. All right, we have registered Hiker Anthony's number in the Pokegear. I'll give you a call when I think of a good heartwarming story, okay? He'll give us a call whenever he has a good heartwarming story, and I'm pretty sure on Fridays, on Friday night actually, you can actually call us for a potential rematch. So I think on that note, we're gonna end this right here. I know this is a very awkward spot to end the video, but there are reasons I'm going to stop right here that will be made apparent next time on Pokemon HeartGold. See you guys then.